What is good, y'all? Sean the School Game Man back with yet another reaction video, baby. And today, back with some more anime content, man. This is the most disrespectful moments in Naruto explained and most likely ranked, because that's what we do over here. So, wanted to go ahead and react to this with you guys, get some more anime content out just to see and test you guys' feedback for them. So, if you guys are enjoying it, please show me that so I can bring more of this to you guys by liking the video. Subscribe if you're brand new to the family and turn that bell on so you know when videos are going live for your boy, as we're on that road to 5K. Hopefully by the end of the year, I think we can still hit it, man. Just keep sharing it out. If you like it, it shares it out to more people so more people have a chance to get eyes on it. So that's even sharing it. So whatever and anything that you guys do to make this content go to places, I love and appreciate every single one of y'all. Just wanted to say that. So if you guys want more smooth content as well, I got a gaming channel, Smooth Got Game. Make sure you guys head over there so that you can see some of the gaming videos that we got lined up for you if you want more smooth content or more gaming content. So with all that being said, man, we're going to hop right into this, man. Shouldn't have to worry about any copyrights. We can watch all the way through, sit back, and see if we agree with the list. Let's get it.
Respecting your enemy. It's a funny line to walk, because on one hand, for mutually agreed upon combat, it's usually the best manners possible to give respect to the person you're fighting. And the reason that it shakes out that way is less to do with making sure that the person you're fighting likes you, and more to do with the fact that you should never underestimate anybody you're fighting. One, they say that entering a fight angry is the surest way to make sure that you lose said fight, as once you let your anger take over your brain, you lose the ability to make rational choices. And two, by not showing respect to the person you're battling against, you're underestimating their ability to beat you, which can leave you open to surprises and counterattacks. However, this is only if the person you're battling against has a chance to beat you in a fight. Okay. Let's say you put me in the ring with a 2-year-old. I could be as disrespectful as possible because there's no way that 2-year-old is beating me in a fight. And if I was a kind of sociopathic narcissist who would fight a 2-year-old, then I wouldn't be too concerned with making sure that people were like, oh, but he was so respectful about it. There's nothing respectful about trying to hit a 62-yard field goal with an infant skull. Now, fortunately, in our reality, fights with this level of disparity between the power levels of the two people in a fight rarely happen. And if they do happen, they're not being televised, at least not to me and you. However, in non-real universes, fights like this happen a lot. Fights where 2 or more people come into combat against each other, with one party believing they are so massively more powerful than the person they're battling against that there's no reason to respect their opponent. Moments where characters enter a battle with such certainty that they're going to win, the entire fight is just a flex on the person they're battling. And really, there's no anime where this happens more than Naruto. See, Naruto is known as the show where people get jumped. That's why ninjas run in 4-man teams. They want to jump individuals and get the problem taken care of quickly. And while there are plenty of respectful one-on-ones throughout Naruto's timeline, the majority of the battles in Naruto do tend to be one person versus many. However, sometimes those many are fighting that one because that one is stronger than the many. And it's moments like these that can lead to some of the coldest flexes in anime history. Moments of such high disrespect that you can really only respect it, because that's what absolute power buys you, the ability to treat any and all enemies
with disrespect.
With no respect whatsoever. However, not all flexes are about a lack of respect. Some flexes are simply arbitrary gut reactions to an event that makes the person who just pulled it off look very powerful. In fact, some flexes are made out of respect for your opponent, as an acknowledgement of the person you're fighting's strength, and it being much lower than yours is an act of respect, so long as you're telling them to help them. If I'm able to have a meaningful dialogue with a 2-year-old who just waddled into a boxing ring with me, my first and probably only goal would be to somehow tell them that I am way too strong for them to fight, and that if they try to fight me, I'm gonna beat Justin Tucker in terms of length. So let's just keep all of that in mind as we head into today's video, which is the top 10.
Why is it always gonna be a 2? Why couldn't you put yourself as the underdog so you fight Mike Tyson? Well,
and flexes in Naruto. Before we get to flexing on anything, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you want to help me flex on all my haters, guys, go ahead and follow my other channel, The Weeb Commander, where instead of talking about Naruto and Boruto, I talk all other anime. And if you want to make that flex twice as strong, guys, head over and follow my anime podcast, Otaku's Anonymous, where me and Danny Mata break down everything that happened in anime this week. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Or if you want to flex on your very own haters, guys, go ahead and check out my brand new anime merch store, where you can pick up some of the greatest anime sweatshirts, t-shirts, and sticker packs known to man. So What is a flex? While the majority of my fan base is probably young enough to understand what I'm talking about here, some of you may not be. Well, a flex in its most simple terms is bragging, showing off. You just bought a really new expensive car that you love. Well, you drive it up and down your street a couple of times. That's a flex. You find yourself in a fist fight against somebody and you put your hands down by your side and stick out your chin and dodge their punches like you're Muhammad Ali on the ropes. That's a flex. So long as you're showing something off, that being your status, your money, or your power, you are, in essence, flexing. So how does one even begin to rank a flex? That is a legitimately very good question, but I'm thinking of Naruto flexes in the capacity of real life flex. If I'm like, oh, I got an iPhone 12, yeah, I mean, that's a flex to some people on Earth, but it's a bit different from being a homeowner in Los Angeles. So to me, if I were to rank flexes in a fictional universe, I would take into account what they're flexing and maybe more importantly, how that paid off for them. Because here's the thing, if I am in a fist fight with you and I put my hands down by my side and stick out my chin and you knock me out, not really a flex. Understand the rules now? Cool. Let's get into it. Because coming up at number 10, we have one of the most immediate examples of listen to the rules, and this placement will make sense. Because coming up at number 10, we have White Mask Obito saying the incredibly iconic line, huh? Am I sweating? No, it's just rain. These fools could never make me sweat. Now listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that that is anything but one of the coldest lines ever muttered in a fictional universe ever. Obito, while sitting on top of—
I don't know, maybe I'm just not that impressed by it, or like, I don't know. To me, like, I've seen a lot of people say that too, like, this is the coldest. I've seen so much colder lines. Like, I don't know, like, to me, that's not one of the coldest lines out there. I mean, to me, it's not even one of the coldest lines in that war arc. Madara saying, so do you want these guys to use Susanoo or not? That to me is a cold line. I'm trying to think. There's several other like cold lines in the war arc. It just in that war arc alone. Or Kakashi, y'all really pushed me to my boiling point. I know 1,000 jutsu and now I'm about to use them all. Like, that to me is colder. These fools could never make me sweat. I don't know. It hit, but it's not hit.
The Gerumazu while pulling out his Uchiha Gunbai, a legendary Uchiha weapon that can reflect all ninjutsu, looks at his arm and sees perspiration. But is it perspiration? This liquid on Obito's arm couldn't possibly be sweat because the people he's battling against couldn't even begin to make him break one. And his acknowledgement of that fact is wildly disrespectful. Obito is looking out upon the entirety of the Shinobi Alliance as they scramble to try to save their tailed beasts. But now through the power of his newly found Rinnegan, his Kamui, and his 6 paths of pain, Obito believes he's above the strength of even the entirety of the Shinobi Alliance. He doesn't just believe that he can beat them, he believes he can beat them without breaking a sweat. To look out on the collective forces of the entirety of the Shinobi world and assume that not only you could defeat them, but defeat them with a low amount of effort and kind of prove that to be true is a wild flex.
But Nick, if it's one of the coldest lines ever uttered in fiction and it's kind of true, why is it so low on this list?
Well, mostly because it's like only kind of true. See, White Mask Obito is absolutely a menace to society. Between his new Rinnegan abilities, the Kamui, and his 6 paths of pain, Obito in his White Mask form is substantially stronger than we even saw him be. As I believe White Mask Obito is probably Obito's strongest form. Yes, stronger than Jubito, at least based on everything that we saw. And while White Mask Obito does go toe-to-toe with the likes of Might Guy, Kakashi, and KCM1 Naruto simultaneously, and that's very impressive, the real reason that these three weren't able to get the better of Obito is because by and large, they were also focusing about half of their attention on the Ten Tails, which was just recently created by Obito, giving the Geto statue Kinkaku and Ginkaku, and one of Gyuki's tails. Well, part of Gyuki's tails. And on top of that, Naruto enters his battle against White Mask Obito only using KCM1, but as soon as Naruto unlocks KCM2, he's pretty much enough to overwhelm Obito. And that was just Obito battling against 3 people, and Might Guy wasn't even using the gates. So while yeah, obviously him saying these idiots could never make me sweat is incredibly sick. This is a man who got cucked out of his own war by Madara, absorbed the Ten Tails, somehow got weaker, and then had the Ten Tails ripped out. And then the only reason he makes it to the end of the story is because multiple things clamor on to him to make sure he survives long enough to make it to the end of the story. So great line, bad payoff. That instance was a disrespectful flex. An idea popped into Obito's head that he was so much stronger than everybody in front of him that there was no way they could ever make him perspirate. That isn't the only way you can flex on those around you. Because coming in at number 9, we have another moment from the 4th Great Shinobi World War. However, this moment isn't done out of disrespect, but rather respect. Well, maybe not out of respect, but for the betterment of the people that this person was fighting. Because coming in at number 9, we have Gengetsu versus the 4th Division. Now, this is a moment very similar to that of our number 10 spot, where somebody, Gengetsu in this circumstance, identifies that they are significantly stronger than the people that they are facing. Or instead of demeaning the people that he was battling against, Gengetsu actively tried to help them. And ironically, Gengetsu did a better job at defeating his opponents than Obito did. See, Gengetsu is the 2nd Mizukage of the Hidden Mist Village, and the oldest member of the Hozuki clan that we know of. And therefore, as a member of the Hozuki clan, he has the hydrification ability. That is to say that he can liquefy any part of his body should somebody be about to inflict bodily harm onto him. However, that's not necessarily his biggest concern, considering the fact that he is Edo Tensei back, meaning that he can't be physically harmed to begin with. On top of that, Gengetsu as a Mizukage is an incredibly talented water release user, but what separates him from the rest of the Hozuki clan, at least the Hozuki clan members that we know, is that not only is he not a swordsman, but a large amount of his power is tied into his summon, which is a giant clam capable of dispensing steam that when inhaled induces Genjutsu. Now, Gengetsu and the majority of the other Edo Tensei ninjas who were brought back during the 4th Great Shinobi World War by Kabuto had his actions controlled, but not his mind. And therefore, Gengetsu, even though his body was forcing him to battle against the 4th Division, was telling the 4th Division on how to defeat him. And yet, even though Gengetsu was telling this entire division on how exactly to defeat him, they could not. In fact, Gengetsu wipes out the entirety of the division, and their lives are only saved because Gaara gets Naruto and Inoki to come battle against Gengetsu. And yet, even then, Gengetsu was able to destroy a Grand Sand Mausoleum, a Fuinjutsu so powerful that it was able to seal Urashiki for a couple of hours. It sealed Gengetsu for a total of 3 seconds. And that's because Gengetsu has an infinite explosion ability that allows...
I'm about to say, are we about to say that Gengetsu is stronger than the Otsuki?
him to make water and oil clones that explode, expand, and when they recondense, explode again. Now, eventually, Gaara does find a way to cool down the steam clone that Gengetsu uses for his infinite explosion technique. And since he's able to slow it down and seal it in gold, the technique is nullified, all while sealing away Gengetsu's original body in another Grand Sand Mausoleum. However, all in all, it takes 3 Gokage in an entire division to seal away a man who was actively telling them how to seal him away. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call a respectful flex. Who knows how many people would have taken to seal Gengetsu if, hypothetically, he wasn't giving away the tips to how his techniques work. This man was a menace. There's more to being a menace than telling people how to defeat you. You can simply just display the fact that you might be nigh undefeatable, which is what the person in our number 8 spot did, because coming in at number 8, we have Naruto slapping away 5-tailed beast bombs. See, because after the tailed beasts were placed under the control of Obito and Madara, they decided to turn their tailed beast bombs onto the Shinobi Alliance. And it's at this moment that we see Might Guy and Kakashi arguing about which of the 2 of them is going to be able to get rid of these 5 incredibly deadly attacks. Kakashi claims with the power of his Kamui, he'll be able to absorb all 5 of them, and Might Guy claims if he opens the 8th gate, he'll be able to deflect all 5 of them. However, Might Guy doesn't believe that Kakashi's Kamui will be strong enough to pull in all of the 5-tailed beast bombs, and Kakashi knows that if Might Guy uses the 8th gate, he'll lose his husband. However, fortunately for both of them, there was a third option, and that third option is Naruto. However, it's not like Naruto had to risk his life to deflect these 5-tailed beast bombs. In fact, Naruto doesn't even break a sweat. Naruto flies in like a flash of lightning in his KCM2 mode and smacks these 5-tailed beast bombs away. And in this moment, he displays so much power and so much poise, Kakashi thinks he's looking at Minato, not Naruto. But Naruto goes one step further than simply deflecting an ability that Might Guy would have had to kill himself to deflect, as Naruto then takes on his completed Kurama Chakra mode and defeats the 5-tailed beast who had launched the assault on Might Guy and Kakashi in the first place, which is the epitome of backing up your business. See, not only did Naruto show to these 5-tailed beasts that without the usage of his Kurama mode, he would be able to easily deflect their strongest offensive ability, but he then backed it up by putting all 5 of these tailed beasts simultaneously on their backs. All the while, Naruto was using his first ever tailed beast transformation. Simply by using an ability that he was new to, he was stronger than the 5-tailed beasts who were standing across from him. And that made him substantially stronger than his teacher and his husband who were standing behind him. But Naruto hasn't always...
You know, one thing I've always wondered, maybe it's answered somewhere. why he never actually, maybe it's because he only has half Kurama, but like, why is his transformation different? Like his is like almost like a chakra cloak of Kurama. Like he doesn't turn in, like, you know, like Gyuki, Killer Bee turns into Gyuki, you know what I'm saying? Like, and he's just inside of his mind is actually Gyuki on the field, and then like the other ones you see is actually them. I'm like, Kurama's is just literally his chakra surrounding Naruto and them in there. Like it's not actually like he's not furry and, you know, looking like an actual fox. You know what I'm saying? Like, so is that because it's only half of him? Because the other half isn't Minato? Did it get explained? Somebody, if it is explained, put that down below for me.
Always been on the giving end of flexes in Naruto, as more often than not, he's actually been on the receiving end. And one of the first flexes that Naruto was ever on the receiving end of was when Itachi came to say hello. See, because coming in at number 7 of top 10 flexes in all of Naruto, we have Itachi knocking. What do I mean by that? What incredibly specific moment could I be referring to? Well, I am, of course, referring to the moment when Itachi decided to kidnap Naruto. But instead of kicking down the door of Naruto's apartment and snagging Naruto before he could react, Itachi and Kisame simply walked into Konoha, found Naruto's apartment, and knocked. See, because Itachi understood that regardless of how prepared Naruto, or really anybody in the village was, he could get Naruto like that. And thus Itachi, being stronger than everybody else in the village and definitely stronger than Naruto, decided to not abandon decorum. And therefore, before stealing Konoha's strongest asset, he decided to let him get up and
open the door.
Answer the door. The level of confidence required to not only walk into a village that you are a rogue ninja of, but also walk up to that village's greatest asset and warn that greatest asset that, hey, I'm here and you're coming with me now, is a level of flex only mired by the sheer fact that Itachi didn't actually end up stealing Naruto in the first place, because Jiraiya happened to also be in town, and Jiraiya was enough to scare Itachi and Kisame away. Now, say what you will, Itachi wasn't actually trying to kidnap Naruto, and he was actually trying to warn Naruto that the Akatsuki were after him. And it's fine if you subscribe to that theory. It's also fine if you subscribe to the theory that Itachi wasn't actually a good guy until Shippuden, and that him being a bad guy was retconned by Kishimoto during the time skip because everybody loved Itachi. But either way, we don't actually know what Itachi's true motivations in that moment were. Though within the confines of what is now considered canon, it's best to believe that he wasn't actually trying to kidnap Naruto. But considering the fact that Itachi was incredibly involved in the snagging of Yagura, who had Isobu the Three Tails, and he never really seemed to hesitate to fulfill the Akatsuki's orders, assuming that much based off canonicity is kind of hard to do. But at the end of the day, Itachi knocked. But at the further end of the day, he didn't end up with the boy that he was trying to kidnap, which is what.
Well, I mean, but true, like, he did do the Akatsuki's wishes because he had to, you know, he couldn't just say, like, oh, no, I'm not going to do it. And if they came back failing from every mission, he would have just got kicked out the Akatsuki. So, like, he kind of had to keep that level. I feel like, though. I mean, like, because the only other alternative other than capturing all of them would have been just what? He roamed the world as a rogue ninja just all by himself. And then he wouldn't have been able to help with the Akatsuki and protecting the leaf, which ultimately was his main reason for killing the whole Uchiha, was to protect the leaf. So he would have no way to protect the leaf, just kind of roaming around the world. He at least infiltrated the society. Of course, he had to do things he didn't like. I mean, he didn't like to kill his entire clan. I would hope not. So I'd say it's a pretty strong, solid theory to kind of go off. Let me know down below if you guys disagree. Like, if you guys think that, like, that what he said about, like, he was a bad guy the whole time and got switched over just because we all liked him. Like, do y'all think that one? Because I hadn't heard that theory.
Why he's kind of low on this list. However, unfortunately, a display of power followed up by nothing at all is kind of a commonality on this list. Because coming up at number 6, we have a very similar instance to Itachi knocking, and that is Tobirama lifting a finger. See, when it comes to shows of pure might, this is one of the greatest depictions of what power truly looks like in Naruto. See, during the 4th Great Shinobi World War, when Sasuke, Hebi, and Orochimaru decide that they're going to bring back the 4 dead Hokage in order to help the Shinobi Alliance in their battle against Madara, Sasuke begins to tell the Hokage all about his plans for the future of Konoha, and most specifically about how he's going to take vengeance against Konoha. However, considering these are the 4 dead Hokage he's talking to, all of them have a fair amount of allegiance to Konoha. Maybe none more, though, however, than Tobirama. And thus, when Sasuke tells Tobirama all about how he's going to destroy Konoha, Tobirama gets a little upset. And it's in this moment that Tobirama begins to release his chakra aura. That is to say that he shows the entirety of the room just how powerful he is, all by simply lifting his index finger. However, sheerly through the act of lifting his index finger, everybody in the room who's not on Tobirama's side begins to get real nervous. Suigetsu begins to melt. Jugo takes a nervous defensive stance. Sasuke begins to grimace and sweat himself. And even Orochimaru, one of the strongest people in the universe at this current time, as he had just gotten his arms back, takes a nervous defensive stance for the upcoming battle against Tobirama. It's not until Hashirama himself releases his chakra aura and places a hand on his brother's shoulder and tells him to put his finger down that Tobirama backs off. And therefore, while the lifting of this finger never really amounts to anything, the fact that Tobirama, simply by showing off his chakra aura, was able to make Sasuke, Jugo, Suigetsu, Orochimaru, and even Hiruzen nervous is saying something. Not to mention that the combined force of both Tobirama and Hashirama's auras being released simultaneously almost destroyed the building that they were all standing in. To quote the dub of Naruto, now that's presence. Now, unfortunately for the entirety of the Fourth Great Shinobi World War, Tobirama gets some kind of dogged on. Like, he's got a couple of pretty good moments in the battle against Obito, but Madara straight up off-screens him. And somewhat surprisingly, I think almost every single flex except for Naruto slaps the 5-tailed beast bombs on this list ends up with the person flexing losing. And number 5 on this list is absolutely not breaking that trend, because coming up at number 5, we have Rock Lee drops the weights. Now this is
if it was off of most memorable flexes, this gotta be number 1, because I love the way he finally shut Tamari up. Tamari was getting on my nerves at this time, just riding meat for our brother, it's like all on guards, tip heavy. Oh, nobody can beat Gara. Oh, guard it. Oh, guard that. But I was so glad when she finally shut up. Kankuro shut up. Naruto looked scared. Sakura was surprised. Even Kakashi was like, yo, what the? And the only person that was like, oh yeah, this normal was his teacher, my guy.
Only one of the top 10 flexes in anime history, but also one of the top 10 moments in anime history. Rock Lee, a relative unknown in Naruto up until this point, whose only redeeming quality was the fact that he somehow managed to speed blitz Sasuke and that he only uses taijutsu, draws the incredible misfortune of coming up against the strongest genin in the entirety of the Chunin exams, Gaara. And it's at this point that Rock Lee very quickly finds out that Gaara has an absolute defense, his mother's soul living in a gourd of sand that he keeps on him at all times. And this absolute defense blocks any incoming attacks, projectiles, anything. And thus Rock Lee is struggling to get beyond this absolute defense and therefore struggling to hit Gaara at all. It's at which point that Might Guy, Rock Lee's teacher, tells Rock Lee that he can take off his weights, which is absolutely insane when you consider the fact that Rock Lee in the Chunin exams is basically fighting for his life and has been doing it with one hand behind his back, which kind of makes us take a second look at the fact that he lost the battle in the Forest of Death. Like, why didn't he just take off his leg weights? I mean, it's called the Forest of Death. Don't go in with a handicap.
My guy ain't
it
say
also
so.
Makes him embarrassing Sasuke all the more embarrassing for Sasuke. Now, when Rock Lee goes to take off his weights, a lot of people just assume it's got to be 20, 30 pounds. But no, when Rock Lee drops his 2 weights from on top of the statue he's standing on, it's clear that they weigh probably close to several tons, as the explosion from them hitting the ground is equivalent to, if you...
I forgot, I did a reaction video too. If you guys want to know the actual weight to it, it's probably canon somewhere. I did a reaction video to a death battle involving Rock Lee where they actually kind of like humified that explosion, did a whole bunch of math basically and found out the exact metrics of how much it was. I forgot what it was, but it is in the tons though. I know that much.
It dropped 2 Mack trucks onto the earth, and thus it's revealed to us very quickly the level of strength this child has in his legs. And that once again becomes very evident when we see Rock Lee absolutely speed blitzing Gaara. See, Rock Lee gets tens, if not hundreds of times faster after dropping his weights. So fast that he's able to outpace Gaara's absolute defense, something that nobody had ever done before. And it's now Sanzi's leg weights that Rock Lee is able to battle against Gaara on relative even footing, as Rock Lee not only manages to break through Gaara's absolute defense, but also through his sand armor. However, unfortunately, for quite literally the second time in the Chunin exams, the impact of Rock Lee's reverse lotus was softened, and thus he wasn't able to finish the battle against Gaara, which is why Gaara finished the battle against Rock Lee by destroying his arm and leg and making it so that without the aid of Tsunade, he would never walk or fight again. But never walking or fighting again is a lot better than never breathing again, which is what Killer Bee would have done to Sasuke if it weren't for Karin or Jugo. Because yes, that's right, coming in at number 4, we have Killer Bee's entire fight against Taka. Everything about this fight is disrespectful. I mean, not only was Killer Bee rapping his way through the entirety of this fight, but he would take breaks during this battle against Sasuke, a wielder of a dual MS to jot down lyrics. But speaking of that dual MS, Killer Bee was able to attack Sasuke so quickly, his MS couldn't keep up with the 8 swords. As we see multiple times throughout this battle, Sasuke's MS struggling to keep up with Killer Bee. But Sasuke isn't even the only person who gets disrespected in this battle. Jugo, when seeing that Sasuke was getting pressed, rushes into the battle to try and save Sasuke. But Killer Bee just knocks him aside. This is a man who can make rocket arms, and Killer Bee just smacks him around like he's a child. But the disrespect doesn't end there, because Suigetsu also thinks he can get in on this battle. And what does Killer Bee do to him? Well, he beats him so badly he takes his sword, specifically his Executioner Blade, a weapon that's said to be incredibly hard to handle because it's 6 foot tall in steel. And yet, in a matter of seconds, Killer Bee takes the sword, masters using it, and then uses it against Sasuke. And with all the help in the world, Sasuke still ends up as a pincushion, impaled by, I believe, 5 of Killer Bee's swords. And without Karin stepping in to heal him all but immediately, Sasuke would have died then and there. But Sasuke gets up, so Killer Bee gets more serious, letting out his version 1 Jinchuriki cloak. And once again, Sasuke gets absolutely clowned as Killer Bee crushes his throat with a lariat. And as Sasuke lays on the ground grasping for air as he's about to die for a second time, Jugo fortunately pumps a bunch of nature energy into him and saves his life once again. But now's when the battle gets truly serious, as Killer Bee understands that he has to get truly serious about this battle, he undergoes his tailed beast transformation. And as Taka sees that in this form, he is almost unbeatable, Suigetsu tries to take himself and Taka away by slinking away into a local water source. However, not before Sasuke manages to hit Yuki with Amaterasu. But even while his tentacles were on fire with the black flames of Amaterasu, Yuki still fired a tailed beast bomb into the lake in order to evaporate Taka in their retreat. Now, technically, many believed in the moment that this counted as a win for Taka, because at the end of this fight, there was a floating face-down Killer Bee. However, it's later revealed that Killer Bee simply took off part of Yuki's tail, turned that into a clone, and then left that behind, so Taka believed that they had won. But in actuality, Killer Bee just left. And therefore, even though Killer Bee does technically retreat from this battle, the fact that he kills Sasuke twice and handedly defeats every member of Taka means we're going to give him number 4 on this list. But a 1v4 is nothing compared to a 1v20,000, because those are the
only
odds
at number 3?
that Madara faced. Yes, that's
this
right.
Is only
Coming
at number 3?
We have Madara versus the Shinobi Alliance. Now, specifically, we're talking about the Taijutsu battle that Madara launches against the Shinobi Alliance after being brought back to life. Like the very iconic 20,000 Shinobi running at one Madara moment. See, because here's the thing about Madara in this moment. Not only does he basically win, but the fact that Madara could look out over the entirety of the Shinobi Alliance and go, fair odds, is an insane, and I say insane, flex.
Fair odds. If he had actually hit that in the English dub, I probably would have paused the show too.
I wouldn't fight 2 people, let alone 20,000. And what's almost worse is that the entirety of the 4th Division, 20,000 Shinobi, were nervous about this fight, sweating and screaming and preparing for death against one man. And they were justified in this fear because the second that these 2 forces clashed, one immediately took the upper hand, and it was not the 4th Division. Madara proceeds to put on the taijutsu show of a lifetime as the base form of a Sharingan shoot from side to side to see which victim is coming to get their beating next. There is quite literally a moment when Madara turns into a Beyblade and cuts down roughly 100 Shinobi just by spinning around with swords. He catches a kunai with an explosive tag out of the air, takes the tag off, places it on somebody else. My man kills a dude who's currently underground. And sure, you can say,
oh, Nick, but he was only fighting fodder.
They're still Shinobi. Most of them are probably Jonin. That means these are trained, professional fighters. And while they may not be the god eaters of the universe, they are still very much soldiers. Madara took on 20,000 of them simultaneously and didn't receive 1 hit. Now sure, would Madara eventually go on to lose the 4th Great Shinobi World War? Yeah, but that was mostly because of Kaguya, even though Naruto and Sasuke were jumping him at the end there. That's something that people forget about. Like, sure, obviously Kaguya was the person who killed Madara, but Naruto and Sasuke were running it up on him towards the end there. But Madara's flexes don't end there, because coming up at number 2, we got another great moment from another great man. That is Madara asking the 5 current Hokage
how is this not number 1?
To use Susanoo or not. See,
What's
Madara
number
fights
1?
a whole lot more than just fodder in the 4th Great Shinobi World War. As Madara, during one point of the 4th Great Shinobi World War, finds himself across from the 5 current Kage. And well, sure, you can make the argument that these 5 5 Kage aren't the strongest iteration of the 5 Kage of all time, they're still the 5 Kage, which include A, the 4th Raikage, one of the strongest Kages in history, Tsunade, the greatest healer in Naruto's history outside of maybe Sakura, Inoki, who Madara identified as the only threat to him in the Shinobi Alliance, Mei, a dual Kekkei Genkai wielder, and Gaara, probably the strongest Magna Release user ever except for now maybe his son. Any way you look at it, most people would struggle against these 5 simultaneously. And yet, you want to know what Madara did? Madara made 25 wood clones. And while it's not entirely clear whether or not wood clones subscribe to the same level of chakra split as a shadow clone, as wood clones have been claimed to be the strongest of all clones, but if hypothetically wood clones do have the same set of rules as shadow clones, this would mean that each and every single one of these individual clones had 1/25 of Madara's chakra. And Madara identified that each and every single one of these individual wood clones was as strong as one of the Gokage. And thus Madara was telling the Gokage that his clones, with a 25th of his power, were as strong as them. And after telling the Gokage that, he also asked them the incredibly cold question,
Ooh, let it play.
do you want them to use Susanoo or not? Implying that
clip
Madara can now not only make 25 clones, but with 1/25 of his chakra, generate a Susanoo. As a clone, using Susanoo would be tapping into its own chakra source. And thus Madara's clones, who are a 25th of his power, could undergo one of the strongest defensive abilities in all of Naruto, and proceed to wipe the 5 Gokage off the map. And while the 5 Gokage do put up a pretty good fight against Madara and his clones, every single one of them is basically killed. And it's only after Tsunade brings her 2 bisected sections back together through the power of Lady Katsuyo's healing that she's able to revive the remaining 4 Gokage. So yeah, Madara backed up his smack talk, and we consider the fact that his clones might have been able to undergo Susanoo, that fight could have possibly been easier for him. However, even that flex pales in comparison to the number one
What
flex
is number
in
one?
all of Naruto, and you're not gonna believe who pulled it off. That would be none other than Madara. And to be a bit more specific, it would be when Madara grabbed his second meteor. See, Madara freshly awakened through Edo Tensei after
We'll talk about it at the end. We'll talk about it at the end if I were to re-rank the top 3. But that's crazy that all 3 are Madara, though.
cutting his way through the 4th division with taijutsu and massive fireball jutsus that required an entire division of water users to nullify, decided, let's stop messing about, and decided to use his Rinnegan abilities to pull a meteor out of the stratosphere. And as that meteor was hurtling its way towards the Shinobi Alliance, a large amount of them made peace with whatever god they believed in. However, fortunately for the Shinobi Alliance, the Gokage were there, as Inoki was able to use his super lightweight boulder jutsu to make the meteor lighter so that Gaara could grab it with his sand, and thus the Gokage were able to stop Madara's first meteor. And thus the entirety of the Shinobi Alliance takes a big sigh of relief. And then they suck that air back into their lungs when Madara says, great job.
So what are you going to do about the second one?
What are you going to do about the second one? And then Madara proceeds to hit the first cop meteor with a second meteor that they can't catch. So both meteors fall into the Shinobi Alliance and everyone dies. Madara was looking at the Shinobi Alliance like an MLB pitcher who just watched a little leaguer tip one of their pitches. But the pitcher knew that the next throw that they were going to be was a curveball so nasty it was going to make the little leaguer fall out of the box. Madara was actually jovial at the fact that they caught the meteor. He was like, good job, ants. Here's some molten iron in your ant hive. The level of disrespect to actively applaud your enemies and their ability to stop half of your ability is insane. It's almost like he wanted them to stop the meteor so that he could see their faces distort as they realized the job wasn't done yet. Because here's the thing, even if they stopped 2 or 3 meteors, there's really no reason for us to believe that Madara ever had to stop. He was just successful in the second meteor hitting, so no need for a third. There was literally never any threat of the Shinobi Alliance not being hit by a meteor. And thus watching the Shinobi Alliance struggle so mightily to stop just one must have put a smile on his face. So yes, the top 3 flexes in Naruto's entire history belong to Madara. But that man was on disrespectful timing from the second he was reincarnated, so that makes sense. Now sure, I could have included a ton of flexes from Boruto. Like right now I could tell you that the second meteor and Ishiki looking at the Susanoo and going, oh yeah, the pinnacle of Uchiha defense, and then ripping Sasuke out of it by his face are on equal footing, but I figured let's keep the list to Naruto today. What do you guys think? What are the greatest flexes in all of Naruto? Tell me in the comments below, and while you guys are down there, please.
And of course, y'all know we're gonna end it right there, man. But would I reorder? First of all, I want to say this should be either honorable mention or it should crack the top 10. I don't know, maybe it doesn't count as a flex.
Hashirama meeting Madara again for the first time after being reanimated. When then Madara came back and said, Hashirama, you're back. And this man said, I'll deal with you later. And then went right back to proceeding to the rest of the fight. He said, oh yeah, you a threat, but not right now. I'm gonna handle you later. Or Madara's response to that, where that man really wouldn't do anything else. He sat there like a child pouting. He said, I'm not fighting until Hashirama come back. Or he put a clone over there. He's like, no, you're a clone. I need the original. I'm not fighting you. Like, my man really pouted over that. Like, those two, again, whether you consider them flex or not, I do consider the first one a flex, though. I'll come back to you later. like he's not the biggest during the whole entire war. He said, oh, no. I gotta protect all these people first. I'm gonna protect them, defeat this. And then when I'm tired from doing that, then I'll come back, battle you, and defeat you. That's how I take that. So I think that definitely deserves top 10 for me. But in the terms of top 3, Madara, the 20v1, like, I thought that was impressive. But then, yeah, the 5 Kage, making it go with Susanoo. Obviously, stronger opponents. A little bit bigger reflex, and turned out, I don't want to say better, because, I mean, he ended up killing both sides. So, yeah, I'll probably still have that one above it. The second Meteor, though, maybe make a case to switch 2 and 1. But in terms of it being also very, very extremely funny and killing far more people, even though not as strong, I'll probably leave it the same. Let me know down below if you guys will reorder that top 3, and if you think that Hashirama moment deserves to be in the top 10, or at least an honorable mention. And we'll continue to rock out like that. I'll be in the comment section with you guys, commenting back and forth with what you guys think. Let me know if there's any other flexes in Naruto that you think missed out on this list. I wouldn't particularly put any. Maybe, like, there's a couple, like, honorable mentions just for being funny flexes, like Shikamaru when he avoided Tamari's fan attack and he was just standing on top of her things. Like, all right, come on now, like, this is all we got. Like, the way he just stood there. Or, I mean, Shikamaru actually has some funny flexes. It's not always great flexes, but it's funny flexes. I really feel like, even though he obviously didn't mean to because he was drunk, Rock Lee falling asleep on the ground mid-fight using the drunken fist, I feel like that's kind of a wild, funny flex. I mean, obviously, he showed clips of it, but didn't include on there Itachi fighting Sasuke right after knocking on Naruto's door. That was a flex. Shoot, anything Kakashi did while Naruto and them were getting flexes. Yeah, there's a lot of flexes that didn't obviously get mentioned on the list. So let me know down below if you think any other flexes that should have been on the top 10 list, or you think this top 10 list is perfect, or if would you at least rearrange some things. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. It's me, your boy. Shout out to this movie, Black Hokage, Black Avatar, King Leo. Me, Naruto, and Itachi's Eye are going to be out for the day. Make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and turn that bell on for no post notifications for you to know when new videos are coming out. And I'll catch you guys next time, man. I'm going for the day. Peace.